I know that some of you are geeking out about the title of this video, so let me just cut right to it. The notation that I made for this one was the kinetic strike weapon, the headshot. Just like a dumb bomb is used to immobilize a vehicle instead of blowing it up, a headshot can also take the fight out of a person without having to kill them. Now I know that some of you who are watching this, who are ill-informed, are thinking, well, that's just dumb. A headshot always kills people. No, it actually doesn't. A headshot, you'd be surprised how many people get shot in the head and survive. In fact, how many people get shot in the head and when the cops show up are sitting right there on the ground, holding the wound, screaming, fussing, and cussing. Remember, guys, I used to be a cop. Paramedics, do me a favor, chime into the commentary, please. Cops, chime into the commentary. Let's start educating people. Headshots are not as effective at killing people as you think they are. If you hit someone in this triangle here, the inverted triangle that covers the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, you are most likely going to hit the brainstem at the back. This area of the skull is so soft and squishy. I used to be a surgical assistant, and I'm telling you, we spent the greater portion of a Friday evening one time piecing together a bartender's face who had gone into a light pole stanchion in a Walmart parking lot after she had been serving too many drinks to her patrons and herself, and got into her car, miscalculated, and drove right into the light pole. And we got a hold of her in the OR and spent hours and hours and hours piecing her face together. And guess what my job was? We opened the eyes, inside the eyelids, and inside the gum line, and I reached through, and I basically reached through here and here, and I lifted her face up while the surgeon went under and pieced all of this squishy stuff back together again. So I'm telling you, I know what that looks like and I know what that feels like. Now, what I will tell you is, shots like this, actually, let me just take this one step at a time. In light of some of the things that we've seen in active killers lately, with people wearing body armor, this is nothing new, guys, but now that it's fresh in the national psyche, perhaps I can address this without people losing their minds. Bad guys wear body armor. Bad guys with the intent to take lives without being stopped wear body armor. It is your job as a good guy to stop the killing. Whether you stop the killing by killing the bad guy or whether you stop the killing by stopping the bad guy, the point is you stop the killing. That is the basic basic tenets of being a good guy and addressing the issues of an active killer. If my intent is to stop the threat rather than kill the threat and burn him to the ground, if my intention is to stop the threat, then I will take any means necessary to include the face shot. Many years ago when I was a cop, we had a guy one night who had shot at someone, had fled, and I'm trying to condense this for you. I was a university officer, and anyone who's ever worked university policing knows that university police departments are like the Wild Wild West. I'm sorry, university campuses are like the Wild Wild West. Imagine every vice that you can imagine. Drugs, sex, you name it, alcohol, it's all on these campuses. And all these campuses are like, oh, we're a dry campus. No, the hell you are. You're not a dry campus. That's the crap that gets put on paper so mommy and daddy feel safe about sending their kids there. We had a turd come on campus and shoot at someone, jumps in his piece of crap car and bails out of there. I heard the call come out on the radio. I was actually on foot doing the job that most university officers do, which is locking doors and a lot of foot patrol. And I heard the call go out, and I had a suspicion as to where that guy was going. I jumped in my patrol car, raced around the side street where I thought he was going to end up, and I was correct. Right as I made a right and a right, there they were coming. I remembered on the way there, very calmly, I said out loud to myself, I will issue commands. If he fails to follow them, I will kill him. And as I bailed at I pulled into his path to get him to stop, and amazingly, he actually managed to stop without hitting me, probably with like a 2-ish, 3-foot gap between our bumpers. I bailed out of the driver's seat because I knew I needed to get on my feet fast. I pulled my sidearm, which was a Glock 22 40 cal with a M3. This ought to tell you how long ago it was, an M3 tactical light on it. And I remember bringing it up. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't remember bringing it up. I remember thinking I should have my gun out, and just automatically here came my gun. And I leveled the gun on the kid's face, and my support hand flipped on that light. And I remember the kid stopped, had his hands on the steering wheel. Now mind you, we know he's shot at someone. His hands proceed to slide off the steering wheel as he smiles at me through the windshield. At that moment, I said to myself, time to die. Mentally, I said that, time to die. I placed my finger on the trigger, and I began to take up the slack. And when I got to that wall, that very distinct Glock wall, the Holy Spirit said to me, he thinks you're pointing a flashlight at him. Now mind you, this was all done in the synaptic speed of decision to pull trigger, beginning to pull trigger. The Holy Spirit says, he thinks you're pointing a flashlight at him. He whispered that to me. I lowered the gun to the right, and I screamed, do you want to get shot? And I brought the gun back up again on the kid. Instantly, his hands shot in the air, and he started trembling when he realized, I guess, that that was a gun and not a flashlight. And got the kid under control. What I remember seeing on either side of my front sight post were his eyes. I was very close. I was contacting the front of his Buick with my left thigh, so I was right on that hood. I was leaning over the hood, and I was maybe, I don't know, that far from his windshield, leaning into it. So I knew that I was going to get a hit. I remember his eyes on my front sight post, and I remember saying to myself, I'm going to snuff this kid out. Now, psychologically, I have to tell you that that is a phenomenal thing that I was actually able to mentally commit to that, because the taking of human life is a difficult thing. The taking of human life face to face with a face shot is an extremely difficult thing. Now, I would love to tell you that I had the purity of a warrior spirit and all that crap. No, the fact of the matter is, at that time in my life, I was so into violence that my soul was a little broken at the time. And I can say this to you now, that was 04, I can say this to you now in 2019, now knowing the after effects of that event. The sleepless nights that I had as to why, as a Christian, I was perfectly content to pull the trigger on somebody's face. All the issues that came with it, getting into the studying of warfare, of combat, of armed conflict, getting into firearms training, studying Dave Grossman's work, studying with Dave Spalding from Handgun Combatives, understanding the broader picture of what it was that occurred that night. And all those things coming together for this very moment right here to tell you that then I knew, and now I still know, that A, I have it within me to pull the trigger on a human being, because remember, I was actually trying to do that when the Holy Spirit stopped me. 2, knowing that a face shot, headshot, has very little likelihood of killing a person, but it most certainly will stop a person. Now, for those of you that are still kind of in naysayer mode, consider this. From a basic fight standpoint, if you're in a very close fight with someone and you've got a truncheon, or a small club is a truncheon, and that's the only weapon you've got, and this guy's on you, and you whack him as hard as you can. Actually, you know what? Once again, I'm going to ask the cops to chime in. How many times have we taken out our tactical batons and folded them out, and issued commands? The baton is facing this way. We've issued commands, and the guy starts moving, and we've got to make a contact shot. Common peroneal or brachial plexus tie-in or all this other crap. Although we're not supposed to be hitting here. I've seen that. So we make contact hits with this guy, right? And what does it do? It does very little. It pisses these people off, and they just keep on fighting. But if you take that same baton, or as a private citizen, you take your Louisville Slugger that's in your bedroom at night, and you pow, and you nail that dude right there in the face, what do you think that guy's going to do? He's out like a log. You stopped him, didn't you? You didn't kill him. I mean, look, you might kill the guy, but the point is, you hit him with a bat, a club, a baton, and the guy went down. If you hit him in the leg, pisses him off. If you hit him in the arm, pisses him off. If you hit him in the shoulder, pisses him off. Stomach, lower leg, buttocks, back, pisses him off, pisses him off. You crack that dude anywhere from here up, from the neck up, anywhere. He doubles over. If you simply poke him in the throat and flex the hyoid bone back, which is that thing right there, that little Adam's apple, if you flex that back, the guy doubles over and starts retching. Is he fighting anymore? No, he's doubled over retching. You've stopped him. The point that I'm getting at is this. So now we're going to cover the medical side of things, and then I'll get to this. Okay, the medical side of things. If you hit someone here, above the eyes, this is the thickest bone in the body right here, the frontal. Now I know that some of you are thinking, no, it's not. The femoral, I'm sorry, the femur. The femur is the thickest bone in the body. Yeah, by mass, by sheer tonnage, by the amount of tonnage that it can support and load. But this is actually the toughest, you know, I shouldn't say thickest. This is the toughest bone in the body. It's almost as if God knew that toddlers would be falling and doing face plants on a regular basis as they were learning how to walk. Oh, that's right, he's God. He did know that. He made that bone right there the toughest bone in the human body. Ironically, in doing so, he made this darn near bullet resistant. Many years ago I saw a presentation done by I think he was a Navy sniper, and he said the human body is notoriously hard to kill, especially the headshot. He said, why? Because the head moves, the head targets us, and the head is armor plated. This is a really, really tough bone, and it's hard to get through with bullets, most especially handgun rounds. So what I say to you is, even if you hit someone here, the chance of that bullet going through is really very slim, and that round will probably strike and either glance off, or in some cases it actually travels under the, I can't remember the medical term, but basically the skin and the hair. And people have said that they lodge in the back. I've heard all kinds of data on this. It's really interesting. But what I say to you is, when you smack somebody in a headshot, you stop them. You break their intent. You give them that severe moment of pause that they need to rethink their position in life. And that is the point of this video, to get you to understand that face shooting people does not always equate to death. Now, a face shot is going to be extremely ugly, and it's really going to jack you up when it happens, and you're going to have a lot of sleepless nights because you actually managed to pull the trigger on a human being. But please remember that this guy's intent is to kill and maim, and it's your job to stop him as fast as you can. And if they're wearing body armor, or if this is all you have for a shot, then take it. And the last thing I'll leave you with is this. I recently changed how I train specific to headshots, from the 6-inch circles that I've been using from challenge targets to the headshot on the human target. Now this has its place, and I've done videos on this, and I'll do further videos on this in the future. This has its place, so don't think that I'm like turning my back on it. For the standpoint of teaching the hands and the eyes how to shoot combatively, like Dave Spalding says, you know, movement with purpose, stopping, stabilizing, finding your shot, taking off again, it's best to be aiming at the human form. Well, if this is the tight shot that I'm after for the face, for the head, then that thing covers this whole area right here. So no longer do I have to be focused on the inverted triangle to switch the guy off. When my intent is only to stop his behavior, I get to aim at all of this. Every bit of this space I get to aim at, and I will. So now when I run my drills out here, like 15 to the third, or the box drill, that is one brave butterfly, or the box drill, I now use these guys. I now use a headshot. If I get a headshot, I consider that good, and I move on. That's what I've got for you guys today. As always, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments section below or shoot me an email at tier1citizen@gmail.com. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.